Hi everyone, I am Deepika, Assistant Professor in ECE Department at Emmanuel Research College of Engineering. Today I am going to discussing the topics about data science process. What is meant by data science means the data science process is an iterative life cycle for solving complex problems, typically involving six core stages. That means they are business understanding, data acquisition, data preparation, exploratory data analysis, modeling, evaluation, and deployment or communication. It turns raw data into actionable insights and automated data driven solutions. See here, the table column is there. The stages of data science process are here, analyzing and interpretation data to uncover hidden trends, corrections, and insight that can support decision making and strategic planning. So, visual professionals, which are used to means data engineers, data analysis, data architect, machine learning engineers, deep learning engineers. So, what are the life cycles of data science? It can be developed by some stages. What are they means? The first step of the process is setting a research goal. The main purpose here is making sure all the stakeholders understand what, how, and why of the project. In every serious project, this will result in a project character. Then the second phase is data retrieval, includes finding suitable data and getting access to the data preparation. The data collection is an error-prone process. In this phase, you enhance the quality of the data and prepare it for use in subsequent steps. This phase consists of three subphases. Data cleansing removes false values from a data source and inconsistencies across data source. That is data transformation, data integration, enriches data sources by combining information. Next, the goal of the step is to gain a deep understanding of the data, look for patterns, correlations, and deviations based on visual and descriptive techniques. Finally, model building that present the result to your business. The last step of the data science model is presenting your results and automating the analysis if needed. One go one goal of a project is to chase better decisions. Then the next one is defining research goal and creating a project character. See, one block diagram is there. Data science process. What are the data science process means? Setting the research goal. It can be split into two types: defining research goal and creating project character. The next second step is retrieving data. Again, the third step is data preparation. Fourth one is data exploration. Fifth one is data modeling, and the last one is presentation and automation. The first, understanding the goals and the context of your research. Understanding the business goals and the context is critical for project success. The character of a project is requires that all are maintained in a teamwork. A clear research goal, the project mission and context, how you are going to perform your analysis, what resources you expect to use, proof that it can achievable project or proof of concepts idea turned to reality, deliverables and a measure of success, a timeline to make an estimation of the project cost and the data become a success. The next one is, that means the second step is retrieving data. Is to retrieve the data, record the data. Sometimes we need to go into the field and design a data collection process ourselves. We getting the data stored within the company or internal data. Must companies have a program for maintaining key data? So much of cleaning work may already be done. This data can be stored in official data repositories such as databases, data mart, data warehouses, and data lakes maintained by a team of IT professionals. Uh, Don't be afraid to shop around external data. That means if data is not available inside your organization, look outside your organization's. Companies provide data so that you in turn can enrich their services and ecosystem. Such is the case with Twitter, LinkedIn and Facebook, that all are social medias. More and more governments and organizations share their data for free with the world. A list of open data is the investigation on previous phase. During data retrieval, if the data is equal to the data in the source document, and look to see if you have the right data types. With data preparation, if you did a good job during the previous phase, the errors you find now are also present in the source document. The focus is on the content of the variables. You want to get rid of types and other data entry errors. Next, the cleansing, integrating and transforming data. The data received from the data retrieval phase is likely to be a diamond in the rough. Task now is to sanitize and prepare it for use in the modeling and reporting phase. See here the data science process block diagram is there once you verify it. Next, what is meant by cleansing data? Cleansing data means data is a sub-process of the data science process that focus on removing errors in your data. So your data becomes a true and consistent representation of the processes it originates from. The first step is the interpretation error, such as when you take the value in your data for granted, like saying that a person age is greater than 300 years. The second type of the same thing, that the person is female. See here the overviews of common errors. General solution, error description, possible solution. Errors pointing to false values within one set of data. Next one is error pointing to inconsistency between the next data sets. Next, see here, one graph is there. Sometimes you will use more advanced methods such as simple modeling to find that and identify data errors. Diagnostics plots can be especially insightful. Here, for example, in figure, we use a measure to identify data points that seem out of place. We do a regression to get acquainted with the data and detect the influence of individual observation on the regressing line. Next, the next one is data entry errors. Data collection and data entry are error-prone processes. They often require human intervention and introduce an error into the chain, make types or lose their concentration. Data collected by machines or computers is free from errors. Error can arise from human sloppiness, whereas others are due to machines or hardware failure. Here the example is there, organizing from machines or transmission. That means that is called as the redundant white space. While redundant white space tends to be hard to detect but cause errors like other redundant character world. The white space causes the mismatch in the strings such as fr hyphen fr, dropping the observation that could not be matched. If you know to watch out for them, fixing redundant white spaces is luckily easy enough in most programming languages. They all provide strings. Next, fixing capital letter mismatches. Capital letter mismatches are common. Most programming languages make a distinction between bracelet, and that means B as capital and small b as small. In this case, can solve the problem by applying a function that returns both string in lowercase, such as dot lower of function in Python, bracelet dot lower of. Next one is impossible values and sanity checks. Here you check the value against physically or theoretically impossible values, such as people taller than 3 meters or someone with an age of 299 years. Sanity checks can be directly expressed with rules. Check equal to 0, less than or equal to age, less than or equal to 20. Uh, next one. The next one is the Outliers. The outliers is an observation that seems to be distinct from other observations, or more specifically, one observation that follows a different logic or generative process that than the other observations. The easiest way to find outliers is to use a plot or a table with the minimum and maximum values. See here, the plot on the top shows possible outliers on the upper side when the normal distribution is expected. The next one is dealing with the missing values. Missing values aren't necessarily wrong, but you still need to handle them separately. Certain modeling techniques cannot handle missing values. They might be an indicator that something went wrong in your data collection or that an error happened in the ETL process. Common techniques data scientists use are listed in table. Table is there. That is an overview of technique to handle missing data. Technique, advantage, disadvantage. First technique means omit the values. Advantage is easy to perform. Disadvantage is you lost the information from an observation. The next technique is set value to null. Advantage is easy to perform. Disadvantage is not everything modeling technique and or implementation can handle null values. Next technique is impute and static values such as 0 or the mean. Advantage is easy to perform. You don't have loss information from the other variables in the observation. Here the disadvantages can lead to false estimations from the model. Next technique is impute a value from an estimated or theoretical distributions. Advantages does not disturb the model as much. The disadvantage is harder to execute. You make data assumptions. The technique is modeling the value. Here the advantage is does not disturb the model too much, can lead too much confidence in the model, can artificially raise dependence among the variables. The next one is the deviations from a code book. Detecting errors in large datasets against a code book or against standardized values can be done with the help of set operations. A code book is a description of your data, a form of metadata. It contains things such as the number of variables per observations, the number of observations, and what each encoding within a variable means for value of A but not in set B. These are the values that should be corrected. Instance 0 equals -5 stands for very positive. The next one is the different units of measurement. When integrating two data sets, you have to pay attention to their respective units of measurements. An example of this would be when you study the price of gasoline in the world. To do this, you gather data from different data providers. Dataset can contain prices per gallon and other can contain prices per liter. A simple conversion will in this case. The next one is different levels of aggregation. Having different levels of aggregation is similar to having different types of measurement. An example of this would be a dataset containing data per week versus one containing data per work week. This type of error is generally easy to detect and summarizing the data sets with a fixit. After cleaning the data errors, you combine information from different data. The next one is correct errors as early as possible. A good practice is to mediate data errors as early as possible in the data collection chain and to fix as little as possible inside your program while fixing the origin of the problem. Data should be cleansed when occurred for many reasons. Not everyone spots the data anomalies. Decision makers may make costly mistakes or the next one is integrating data. Data comes from several different places, and in this step, the sub step, we focus on integrating these different sources. Data varies in size, types, and structure, ranging the databases and Excel files to text document. The next one is the different ways of combining data. Perform two operations to combine information from different data sets. That is, one is joining, next one is appending and stacking. First one is joining tables. Joining tables allows you to combine the information of one observation found in one table with the information that you find in another table. The focus is on enriching the single observation. The appending tables are effectively adding observation from one table to another table. See in this block diagram, client, item, month. So three separate tables is given here. The next one is transforming data. Certain models require their data to be in a certain shape. Transforming your data so it takes a suitable form of modeling, data modeling. Hmm. The next one is reducing the number of variables. Having too many variables in your model makes the model difficult to handle, and certain techniques do not perform well when you overload them with too many input variables. For instance, all the techniques based on a Euclidean distance perform well only up to 10 variables. Data scientists use special methods to reduce the number of variables but retain a maximum amount of data. Mm, And then the next one is turning variables into dummies. That means the dummy variables can only take two values, that is true 1 or false 0. They are used to indicate the absence of categorical effect that may explain the observation. In this case, you make separate columns for the classes stored in one variable and indicate it with 1 if the um, and then the next step is exploratory data analysis. During exploratory data analysis, you take a deep dive into your data. See in the figure, the information becomes much easier to guess it when shown in a picture. Therefore, you mainly use graphical techniques to gain an understanding of your data and the interactions between the variables. See here, data science process. What are the process? Means setting the see the visualization techniques line graph or histogram. In this figure, this is the line graph or histogram. To more complex diagrams such as Sankey and network graphs, which one you can be familiar to draw, that one you can be dotted. Here the example, the number of the people in the age group of 5 years interval. The next one is build the models. With clean data in place and a good understanding of the content, to build models with the goal of making better predictions, classifying objects, or gaining an understanding of the system that you are modeling. Here also same process. The data modeling steps can be split into three types. They are model and variable selection, model execution, and the next one is comparison. Next, the model and variable selection. That is, need to select the variables you want to include in your model and a modeling technique. You will need to consider model performance and whether your project meets all the requirements to use your models as well as other factors. Must the model be moved to a production environment, and if so, would it be easy to implement? How difficult is the maintaining on the model? Here Python have a library such as states models or scikit-learn. These packages are several on the most popular techniques. Next one is the linear regression. State models are scikit-learn. The next one is libraries available can speed up the process. Next one is model diagnostic and model comparison. Building multiple models form from which you then choose the best one based on multiple criteria. Working with a holdout sample helps you pick the best performing model. A holdout sample is a part of the data you leave out of the model building so it can be used to evaluate the model. See here the example. The example models first model and second model. A holdout sample helps you compare models and ensures that you can generalize the results to data that the model has not yet seen. The next one is presenting finding and building applications. Ready to present your findings to the world. Sometimes people get so excited about your work that you will need to repeat it over and again, over and over again, because they value the predictions of your models on insights. You should proceed. For this reason, you need to automate your models.